Alright, Doston, welcome back to Crypto Brain, and today's discussion may genuinely become one of the most dangerous and psychologically explosive conversations currently circulating across the crypto industry. Because right now a narrative is silently building behind the scenes that has started making inexperienced investors nervous, and the center of this storm is not just another random meme token, but a project that some insiders have started comparing to the early days of Bitcoin itself. And what makes this situation truly shocking is the billionaire name and allegedly being connected to it, Michael J. Saylor. Now, if you have spent any serious amount of time inside the crypto world, then you already understand exactly why this matters. Because Michael J. Saylor is not simply another investor, he's considered by many to be one of the most influential Bitcoin believers in financial history. This is the same man who transformed his entire corporate strategy around Bitcoin, accumulated billions of dollars worth of digital assets, and became one of the biggest symbols of institutional crypto convicti on Earth. And throughout the years, whenever Saylor even hinted at a market direction, investors immediately paid attention, because history has shown repeatedly that smart money listens carefully whenever Michael J. Saylor speaks. Now, according to rumors currently spreading across crypto communities, private investor circles, and whale tracking discussions, Michael J. Saylor may allegedly be preparing for a massive $40 million level investment into a new emerging project. And their name repeatedly surfacing inside those discussions is Toshi. Now, officially, there is absolutely no confirmation connecting Saylor directly to Toshi. However, crypto markets do not wait for official confirmation before reacting, because markets move on psychology, anticipation, speculation, and perceived future possibility, and experienced traders understand that some of the largest wealth creation opportunities in crypto history began long before mainstream confirmation ever arrived. Now, what makes this situation even more fascinating is the growing belief among certain investors that Toshi may represent something far bigger than simply another meme coin. Because according to some analysts, the project appears to be combining three extremely powerful forces simultaneously: community-driven internet culture, base ecosystem expansion, and early stages speculative momentum. And when those three forces begin aligning together, crypto markets can become extraordinarily aggressive. Because once attention enters the equation, liquidity follows shortly afterwards. Now let's analyze why the Michael J. Saylor connection has created such a powerful emotional reaction throughout the market. Because Saylor's entire public identity has been built around one core principle: long-term conviction in transformative digital assets. And for years, Bitcoin was viewed by most traditional investors as a joke, as Camorat, temporary internet experiment, while Michael J. Saylor quietly accumulated billions and defended his thesis publicly, even during periods where the market was collapsing. And today, many people view him as one of the individuals who cognized Bitcoin's long-term significance earlier than the majority, and be a cause of that reputation whenever rumors emerge, suggesting that Saylor may be interested in another emerging asset. Investors immediately begin asking themselves one terrifying question: what if this is another early-stage opportunity hiding in plain sight? Now, naturally, this has created an enormous amount of speculation around Toshi, because according to several anonymous reports, unusual wallet activity has recently appeared across blockchain tracking systems, with certain whale wallets allegedly accumulating significant positions quietly, while public attention still remains relatively limited. And this behavior has triggered another major theory currently spreading across crypto Twitter. What if larger institutional level investors are already positioning themselves before broader retail awareness fully arrives? Because historically, smart money rarely enters markets loudly. Instead, it accumulates silently during periods of uncertainty, while the majority of people remain distracted. And once mainstream attention finally arrives, price acceleration of 10 becomes extreme. Violent. Now, another critical factor adding fuel to this narrative is the rapid expansion of the base ecosystem itself, because base has increasingly started attracting developers, communities, liquidity, and social engagement across the wider crypto market. And as base continues growing naturally, projects associated with its culture and identity also begin gaining more attention. And Toshi appears to be positioning itself directly inside that environment, which means that if base adoption continues accelerating, Toshi could potentially benefit from the expansion psychologically, socially, and financially, all at the same time. And experienced traders understand very well that ecosystem narratives often become one of the most powerful catalysts during crypto bull cycles. Now, perhaps the most psychologically dangerous aspect of this entire situation is the comparison many investors have started making between early Bitcoin and the current stage of Toshi. Because according to some traders, the emotional behavior now forming around Toshi feels strangely familiar to previous cycles where investors initially dismissed an asset before later becoming obsessed with it, because people often forget that Bitcoin itself once traded for only a few dollars, while the majority of the world mocked it, ignored it, or laughed at anyone buying it. However, quietly behind the scenes, a small number of high-conviction investors continued accumulating positions while broader public attention remained almost non-existent, and eventually the market reached a tipping point where disbelief transformed into curiosity. Curiosity transformed into speculation, and speculation transformed into global adoption. And now some investors believe Toshi might currently be entering the very earliest stages of a similar psychological process. Now, of course, it is extremely important to remain analytical rather than emotional, because not every rumor becomes reality, and every emerging project evolves into long-term success. However, ignoring developing narratives entirely can also become dangerous, especially inside crypto markets where social momentum often arrives before traditional valuation logic catches up, and this is precisely why experienced traders pay such close attention to wallet behavior, liquidity movements, community expansion, and narrative acceleration, because those signals frequently reveal market direction before headlines ever appear. Now, another fascinating aspect of this story is the way Toshi has started spreading organically throughout crypto culture, because successful meme sets rarely grow purely through advertising. They grow through emotional attachment, internet identity, social participation, and collective belief and accord. To some observers, Toshi appears to be slowly building exactly that type of psychological foundation, particularly among younger crypto communities heavily engaged with base culture memes and online engagement. And if that trend continues expanding during the next major liquidity cycle, then the project could potentially attract far more attention than most people currently expect. Now let's discuss the whale activity itself, because blockchain analysts have identified several mysterious wallet movements involving large transfers and accumulation patterns surrounding Toshi over recent periods. And naturally, this has intensified speculation significantly, because crypto history repeatedly shows that unusual accumulation behavior often appears before major narrative expansions. Now, does that automatically confirm institutional involvement? Absolutely not. However, what matters is that the market is beginning to notice these patterns, and once enough traders begin paying attention, momentum itself can become self-sustaining, because in speculative environments, perception of becomes reality, at least temporarily. Now, perhaps the most important question investors should ask themselves moving forward is not whether every rumor surrounding Toshi is true, but rather why the narrative itself is becoming so powerful, because financial markets are ultimately driven by human psychology. And whenever a story successfully captures imagination, emotional momentum begins accelerating. And right now, whether people admit it publicly or not, Toshi is beginning to capture curiosity across a rapidly growing section of the crypto market. No, why imagine for a moment what happens if broader crypto liquidity fully returns during the next major bull cycle, while Toshi simultaneously continues expanding socially and psychologically, because at that point the market would no longer simply be reacting to price action. It would be reacting to identity, community, speculation, internet culture, and fear of missing out all at once. And historically, those conditions have produced some of the most explosive movements the crypto industry has ever seen. Now, another reason many investors are becoming increasingly interested in this situation is the possibility that Toshi could eventually evolve beyond pure meme status, because the strongest meme projects historically survive by transforming attention into ecosystem value, community utility, and broader cultural relevance. And according to some analysts, Toshi may already be attempting to position itself in that direction, particularly through its relationship with the base ecosystem. And if that evolution continues, then the long-term narrative surrounding the project could become much larger than people currently realize. Now, ultimately, Doston today's discussion was never simply about one coin or one rumor. It was about understanding how major crypto narratives begin forming beneath the surface, while the majority of people still believe nothing important is happening. Because throughout financial history, the biggest opportunities often looked ridiculous during their earliest stages, before eventually becoming impossible to ignore. And maybe that is exactly why so many traders are suddenly paying attention to Toshi. Because whether the Michael J. Saylor rumors ever become reality or not, thing is absolutely undeniable. Curiosity is increasing, attention is growing, and speculatism is beginning to build, and in crypto markets, momentum itself can become one of the most dangerous forces of all. So the real question moving forward becomes this: are we witnessing the very early foundations of another major crypto movement? Or is this simply another temporary cycle of internet speculation? Honestly, only time will answer that question. But experienced investors understand something. The crow almost always arrives late, and by the time mainstream attention fully appears, smart money has usually already positioned itself, and perhaps that is precisely why Toshi is now being watched more closely than ever before. Now, if you also want deeper analysis into whale psychology, billionaire influence, crypto narratives, smart money behavior, and future market opportunities, then make sure you subscribe to Crypto Brain, because here we do not simply follow the market, we analyze the hidden psychology driving, and who knows, perhaps the opportunity people are laughing at today becomes the obsession everyone desperately chases tomorrow. So stay analytical, stay early, and welcome to Crypto Brain.